other for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Because we don't have any scenes together, no? Yeah.
Well, that's the best way to start. You both don't have any scenes together. So now, what's it like, this virtual meetup, the three of us?
Puja, we are good to go.
Well, as it can be. But it's good, yeah. I'm enjoying promotions in this one a little more because, you know, like I was conversing with Adhyan and like Tushar. So we haven't met. And this is a great way to break ice also because you ask if you ask us interesting questions, then we get to see each other's wavelengths also and understand each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
As
Also,
well. So,
also, I think the beauty of this show, what I personally felt was there is so much happening in terms of different characters, you know, because otherwise you end up in a project or in a film and you know the main people you're involved with and you've kind of gone through a journey. Here, everyone has gone through their own journey. And only now when I've seen it, I've realized what all Anupria must have gone through as an actress to actually achieve what she has, because it's so much depth in her whole journey as a character. And I think that's a very nice...
You're saying I don't look like a person who has depth in real life.
I don't know you personally, see. I don't know you.
That's the impression I give Puja, see?
No.
I have your answer. My impression is that somebody who's very...
Here I'm trying to get to know the two of you, but your co-stars are trying to get to know each other.
No, I think the beauty was... I felt the beauty was to actually see so many people you have seen in real life, you know, as in through posters or through different projects, but part of the same world and so many different things inside. It was just nice to be part of something like that.
And that brings me to the other question is when they said Tushar, I immediately recalled Mummy of Chichore.
That's true.
Anupria, it's always the no-nonsense agent of war. How do I get rid of that?
I hope you do. I hope I do other work which is like full of nonsense, who takes nonsense from people also. And I'm surprised in enacting that.
Tushar, what about you? You think Mummy is going to leave you? You were actually like the breath of fresh air in that, narrative.
I mean, for me, I take time. I take very sincerely what projects I go or take part of. And I really felt I invested a lot in creating this character for this series. And at least the response I've got so far is people have really accepted it, and not because it's actually quite far away from Mummy. Yes, there is a sense of innocence in both of them. But as an actor, what I really wanted to explore was, in Natya Shastra, when you talk, we say Vyabhichari Bhav and main rasa, and then you have secondary emotions besides it. And every emotion has majority of further emotions. So even innocence will have so many different types of innocence. So for me, I really wanted to explore what it means to be from such a different strata in society, because I have lived and born and brought up in a very urban setup, and I've lived abroad few of my years. So for me to suddenly get back into this world, which is quite far away from me, and because I've read, I know what the state of classes are in India, especially in North India, because where I am from there. So I really felt that exploration made me explore something different, and at least response I'm feeling people are saying. But yes, Mummy is part of me, and I'm glad that it stays with me forever, because some films are really personal to me, and Chichore has been.
And Anupriya, I mean, film releases happen, now digital release. What's the kind of feeling? Because I know before a film's release, everybody's a little tensed, and box office, and now digital release. What are the kind of feelings? Is it any different?
No, not really. Not at all. I think it's the same thing. Maybe with films, probably the pressure would be a little more sometimes, because you feel for the producers, you feel for the makers, and you want them to have a hit. In the digital space, I think it's far more organic and democratic that way, because things can pick up. If it's good, if the content is good, there's no time limit to it. It can pick up maybe in a month also and leave its mark. So that way, but as an actor, I think the thrill and the excitement and the nervousness is just the same everywhere. Because finally one work leads to another. And mostly with me, I have mostly not end up seeing any of the work that I've done before the release, or maybe just about near the release. So the excitement is as much because maybe देखना चाहती हूँ कि कैसा बना है. Like with Aashram, मुझे भी मन था कि बाकी characters का क्या किया है, कैसे आया है, what's the story like, how is it panned out, because on paper it's different, and on screen what turns out to be is very different. So that I find very interesting and exciting.
What about you, Tushar?
I mean, I purely feel if I talk of marketing and publicity specifically, as what you started with questioning was, I think OTT medium suddenly has a wider range that you can also get to people post the release. Film has that notion that you have to do all your promotions and right before the film releases, because after that film is out for the people and in a week or two will be out of the theater. So OTT has a larger reach for the makers, for the actors to actually get to the people and try and pull them to watch it, because there's so much content in today's time, at least in OTT. I really feel that there's a positive thing to approach with OTT, that we can get to people a lot more and we can watch it in their spare time. So the worlds are slightly different, but as an actor, there's no difference. You invest equally. You hope people watch it as soon as it comes out, and you are waiting for the makers to approach you after this to say, okay, this was great. Now there's something new. So yeah, that's what I think.
And also, as you both said, it's more democratic. And do you also feel now, with this present day scenario, with all the talk that's happening in the industry, do you feel this platform also will give a wider berth to actors, all sorts of talent, where you're not dictated by box office, or whether you fit a certain role, or whether you're connected to somebody, or whatever?
Do you want to start, Anupria, or should I start?
So I think, see, for the box office to not matter, of course, in OTT it's far more liberating, because as we said that the time limit isn't there, the reach is much more wider. Now, whether there is a film which is done by a star kid, or there is a film or a series which is done by newcomers, they both stand an equal chance, because the audience doesn't need to choose. वो आज ये भी देख सकते हैं, आज वो भी देख सकते हैं. उनको अपने 300 रुपए को चूज नहीं करना है कि मैं 300 रुपए यहाँ इन्वेस्ट करूँ या यहाँ इन्वेस्ट करूँ. So that way it is far more democratic and far more liberating. But apart from that, I think for the box office to become less important in some sense, or less of a pressure, at least for the creative people, not just the business side of people, would be कि media also कितना उछालती भी है ना. Like this whole 300 crore club or 200 crore club business that we've got into, and that's how we've started looking at a success on failure of a film, and we've started making a big deal about it, or exposing numbers. I think that's unfair and that's not required. If you really want to tackle that in a positive fashion and make it more realistic and creatively satisfying, I hope that doesn't start with the OTT world also, where you start throwing out numbers or saying how much a film, how well did a web series do because of certain things or TRPs. I mean, let the word of mouth, let the noise around the project make all the difference. So I believe. And what was your other question? Did I miss something?
For talent, because no longer, I mean, for actors also, you will get work, because films, it becomes very, who you connect.
I mean, that's, yeah.
Combinations are very different, right? Over here, the marketing and other permutation combinations of how you have to factor in a film, or budget a film, or put it and present it, package it, वो सारी उतनी सारी limitations नहीं होती हैं. And apart from that, if in order to what's happening in the current environment, I believe everybody needs to take a certain responsibility. It's not always the fault of the filmmaker or the production house. It's also a responsibility of the audiences to really go out and support good cinema, good series, whether it's being helmed by insiders or outsiders, or whether it's being held by star kids or newcomers. As long as you're supporting content and you take that responsibility, even for the media that way, they equally play a role in kind of establishing talent all around, not just names.
I mean,
this is coming from somebody whose last film went beyond 300 crores. Huh?
I think purely as an actor, if I say very frankly, it's a big challenge to be able to get a very meaty role in films for most of the people who have gone through a lot of training, have gone through an experience even now. So what really OTT does is it gives you that amount of time for the filmmaker to really open up the stories and not focus the whole story on one protagonist, because somehow the structure of film has to be that. If you're running a 90 to 140 minute film, you cannot have 20 people or 8 people or 5 people's story spread out. It's unfair, because the structure of film won't work. So somehow OTT does give that leverage for the filmmaker as well to open it up. And it's great for actors to showcase that amount of depth in their performances, because that's, I think, is the basic difference. I feel as an actor, we are much more accessible to the audience via OTT to see our range. And that gives some filmmakers probably confidence to give us that amount of role. I mean, I'm really thankful to Nitish Tiwari to be able to give me that kind of role. And also to be able to play two different age groups and liberty, but I don't think it happens too often. And it's not their fault. I mean, it's the structure of business. So OTT is really liberating for a lot of us that way. So very thankful for that.
Aashram has also given a second lease, as Bobby Deol himself said, a second lease of life to him.
Of course.
And Prakash Jha with, those realistic films, and also makes his kind of debut. What were your reasons to say yes to Aashram? Anupriya, as a doctor, you are the brother of the second lead who actually does the khulasa as news headline.
Yeah, I mean, once you see the series, you'll realize so much there is for all the characters. I mean, I know when I read the script, I realized how important this is, because yes, it sets it up like Pammi's brother, who's kind of a whistleblower, if in a bigger context we say. But when you start going into depths, every character starts their own journey. And for me, that was the beauty. It didn't stop at the idea of somebody supporting another character, but it actually went into the depths of what, like Prakash sir had said in few of the interviews, the story is what happens to the common man in this entire world of Godmen. So it's the point of views of the common man, and that's to the depths of blind trust they can go, and they actually can let go of their logic and only rely on this Godman figure to decide their life. I play that epitome of that. So somehow for me to get to that place to say I have full trust in this man and he can ask me to do whatever he can was a bigger challenge for me, because I don't believe in these things. And at the same time for the audience to actually see. So that's the funny part. When a lot of people are writing to me on DMs, right? So there's a very important part of the film, in the series, that how the series ends is something happens to me. I'm not going to reveal it here, but there's so many people who are writing to me and saying, how could you do it? How could you do it? So right now they're also in a distant saying, "Arey, ye kaise kar liya tumne?" But they're not realizing, if you actually open up newspapers or actually just type on Google the amount of Shuddhikaran people have done in various, with the various godmen, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
And I think for me, that is really is brilliant to what Prakash Jha sir was able to give me as a character. And for me, it was Prakash Jha, first of all. And then obviously the character had enough depth for me to enjoy playing it.
Anupriya.
Question again, please.
Why?
Reasons to say yes, you're playing a doctor. Interesting. And I did see the skeleton scene also.
So I think the main reason was Prakash sir, first of all. I've always revered his films, his cinema, and getting a chance to work with him was just too good to let go. And I, as an actor, also believe in taking experiences. मैं यहाँ इसलिए हूँ because I want to live those experiences of working with all those filmmakers, seeing how they work and how they make me evolve as an actor, to learn from them. So that was the main reason of saying yes. Also, the concept was very interesting. And I have come from a background where I've seen these things happen in real life, maybe to not so much in the same degree, but in a similar fashion. So for me, it's also personal. This message is personal also. And having said that, I think I had already said yes by then. But when I met Prakash sir for the first time and we had the discussion, he said some very interesting things about the character. So Atsa, she is again one of the bold, intense characters that I've played in the past. But he wanted her to be a little sprightly, more khula hua, more fickle, because she has a detective sort of a mentality, a psyche. And also to, we had discussions about how to build a character and those sort of things, which was so overwhelming and satisfying to me, because I felt, oh, this is a chance where I can work with a master like him and probably get to learn a little more. So I think all those were the reasons why I said yes to this.
Actually, if I add a funny thing, so Shruti Mahajan was the casting director. So she had called me and said, there's a series, something like this. And I was like, obviously, Prakash sir. And she asked me to test for it. So I said, happily, I'll test for it. Then 2 days later, she called me and said, actually, don't test, come to the office. So I said, of course, meeting Prakash sir. So I went to the office and she said, Acha, just do this scene na in the other room and then I'll show the scene to sir and then you meet him. I go, great. So I went and I did the scene and I came out and she said, actually don't leave the scene, just go and meet him. So I said, but I just did the scene, you show it to him. She said, oh, he'll see it later. So we went there, we started chatting about it and 15, 20 minutes later, he just turns to Shruti and says, dates le lo. And I was like, Arey, this, it doesn't happen like that, the process is much longer because they will look at the test and think about it, then probably they'll ask for another test. And here I was sitting across him in 15 minutes, he said, and that's kind of gives you a real big confidence in yourself. And I think that's why these are masters, because they can detect those things and can take you there. So
I second that because again, I was shooting for War that time, and Prakash sir was shooting somewhere in another state. And Shruti again, just I said yes the moment I heard Prakash sir, and again I trust Shruti for her sensibilities because she's always given us something which is credible. And so she said, "Trust me, I know this," and I've told Prakash sir also. So I think also because Prakash sir really trusts Shruti too.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Because I think that kind of trust remains between both of them. Prakash sir never tested me. We in fact had barely some 5-minute conversation on the phone where he was asking me, what do you want to know?
Wow.
And that was, he was saying, if do you have any questions? He didn't even ask me anything.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nothing. So it was such a quick and an organic process where there was so much trust floating from everyone. From the actor, from the casting director, between the casting director and the director, and of course between the director and the actor.
It was wonderful. Tushar, before we go, I just want to ask you, we spoke about Chichore. Any memories of Sushant that you want to share? On a light,
I mean, I can just say, I mean, he has been super inspiring, and it was such a, actually, I mean, he's been an inspiration with somebody as big a star as him to open up and, give a response and to rehearse to that length. So I think I will cherish it for my life to be able to spend that such a beautiful film and the amount of time we were able to hang us, So, I mean, I'm so lucky that I was able to work with him, and I just hope his family finds peace. I mean, that's one thing which is really, and people find a sense of a closure, because that's very painful, and yeah, it hurts all of us a lot.
I so agree with that. I hope he rests in peace also, because what's happening around is just, I mean, I think everybody needs closure. Anyways, thank you, both of you, for joining me. All the very best. Hope to chat with you soon when you are also better acquainted with each other.
Yeah.
I guess. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.